Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Talk Podcast. Today, I will be talking about the idea of strong and independent women in the Western culture, the women who believe that they do not need a man at all in any sense to actually survive, because we have been so pampered and used to all the comfort, all the luxury that we're now able to experience due to the so-called patriarchy, right? So it's obviously easy to talk down on men, to complain about everything while you are enjoying the comfort that has mostly been built by men.
Meanwhile,
the expedition party have spent all day in the searing heat, only to find they've walked in one big circle, back to Coconut Beach.
How the fuck did that happen? I don't even understand. We cannot walk anywhere on this island without getting lost.
Let's rock and roll, boys! Let's rock and roll! I think we made it! Let's go! Let's go! Oh, this is exciting.
Yes!
Why is it you're so adamant you're right all
Just
the time?
hold on. I'm not adamant I'm right.
Yes, you are,
Listen,
because you're dismissing everybody else.
Listen, I'm...
Second one, boys, and the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Fuck off! I'm telling you, I'm not gonna come out!
Okay, well, where are we going now?
Just
No
keep
more
going
confrontation or
straight.
arguing.
I don't want to lead. I'm sorry, I don't want to lead this group. I don't want to.
What the fuck? I can't fucking deal with this.
The women have circled back to Coconut Beach for a second time.
So guys, I guess that was quite an interesting clip, entertaining, fun, but it really proves the point when we talk about the difference between men and women. We are built different. We are not equal in the sense how we want to make it seem like nowadays, right? We have biological difference, we have difference in interest, we have difference in strength and certain capabilities. So if you guys are interested in these clips, in these videos, it was actually a show. I think it's called Survival Men versus Women or Welcome to the Jungle, something like that. You can definitely find some of it on YouTube. It's really entertaining, but it really proves the reality. So what I'm trying to address today is the idea that has been fed due to feminism, the radical, always mean and angry women who think that it is empowering for them to compete against men instead to just understand that the differences that we have, if we complement each other, we can actually achieve better and bigger things. So they are so busy in competing against men. But if you think about it, competing against someone who's completely different to you is never going to be a fair game, right? You are actually putting yourself in a position to lose. So this idea of being a strong and independent woman is something that we mostly hear in the Western culture. You hear that in Europe, be it Germany, France, Italy, wherever the case may be. You hear it in the UK, you hear it in America, which is, I think, the biggest advocator for this idea of being a strong and independent woman, right? So obviously, this idea only works as long as you're living in the most wealthy and comfortable country or state, whatever the case may be. If you have everything already created and built that you will need as a person, and in this case as a woman, to actually go by your day-to-day life, right? The security system is already established, the healthcare system is already established, certain infrastructures are already established. So you don't really need to start from scratch and trying to navigate your way through life when it comes to dealing with all the hard things that we are being so used to and kind of taking for granted, right? So now a lot of the times when women who are in the feminist mind, when you talk to them about the necessity and the importance about men, I think they take it as an offense, because it never means that women are not capable of doing certain things that men can do. Obviously, when it comes to knowledge and learning certain things, I am very sure that women can do it as well. But there are certain things that we cannot do as well because it requires strength, for example, right? And most of the time when you talk to feminist-minded women, it seems like you are putting women down by saying men are better in certain areas, men are stronger in certain areas, men are more likely to do certain jobs. What the reality is, if you look at it, all the hard jobs, all the things that are really necessary to keep the society and the infrastructure going are covered by men. And it doesn't count if you have 3 police women, right? It doesn't really make any sense, because the vast majority of people covering those dangerous jobs are men. If you talk about the firefighters, oh, beautiful, you might have 3 to 5 women who are interested in doing that, who want to do that, and who are maybe also capable, but the large majority are covered by men. If you look at the plumbing jobs, the people who are building the streets, people who are carrying the trash, right? All these things that are not seen as fancy, you're not sitting in your office with the air conditioning, you're not having the fancy outfit on, you're not traveling the world and meeting all the high class people. Those things, these feminist women, they don't consider, right? Because they're taking it for granted. It just works like that. It just happens like that. And the argument of, yeah, well, women were never given the chance to do all these things is wrong. The problem is, or not even a problem, that's just how it is. Women are not interested in doing all these jobs, and we shouldn't feel bad for that. That is just the difference about us. Women are interested in different things, and most of the things are, nurturing, social stuff, and also beauty stuff. And that doesn't mean that women cannot do other jobs, but if you look at the vast majority, the jobs and the careers that women tend to choose due to what they're interested in, what they see themselves doing very well for long, is not going to be plumbing, it's not going to be a firefighter, it's not going to be one of those people digging the holes and trying to get the oil, right? It's not going to be building the bridge. It's not going to be all these, to be honest, hard and ugly and physically drowning jobs, because we are built differently. What I also find very fascinating is when you do ask women who always want to push this idea, and I get it, they're coming from an emotional point of view, right? They think that is going to help women by always sugarcoating everything. And yes, you go, girl. And yes, we are strong as well, and we can do it all. But actually, it is holding us back, because now you're putting women in a position to forcefully adapt into spaces that they don't feel comfortable in, forcefully adapt into positions that they don't want to be in just to prove a point. Is this really what we want to do? So if you ask women most of the time, when I'm going to say, when shit hits the fan, when things are really going bad, when you are in danger and you call the police, for example, who are you going to expect to show up? Who would you want to show up? And most likely, they would answer, they would want a police officer to show up because they understand that a man is going to deal in a different manner when it comes to dangerous situations than a woman. And obviously, you also don't want to put another woman in a dangerous position just to prove a point. So I don't understand where we are going with this narrative because it is not pushing women up. It is actually just dragging us down. Men are built differently, and most men are really here, they enjoy it. They want to be there for us, to support us. And what I also found really, I'm sorry for the noise outside, what I also find really funny is if you think about it, and these women were actually smart, instead of competing against men and always, looking at negative stuff and, oh, I'm so strong and independent, while you're actually putting yourself in a position to struggle, having to figure out everything on your own, having to do things that you're not comfortable with. If you would team up with a man, not only in a relationship, but if you were more grateful and accepting and just, be in your natural and accept the fact that men are here to help us and we should complement each other. If you would do that, if they were smart, they would actually understand that would give women even more of the time and the opportunities to be so-called independent. It would actually give you more of the time to focus on the things that you enjoy doing. But no, they want to live and fuss and fight and be in the struggle life, all in the name of proving a point of being strong and independent. And I don't really understand why. It's really nonsensical. So now, taking it back to this video clip where we have a group of women, a group of men, equally by number. And also, if you go and look up the show, you would understand that they made sure that they brought in people with more like the same skill set. In one team, there was a doctor. In the other team, there was a doctor. In one team, there was someone who is experienced in, walking through the forest and understands certain things about the outside, the wildlife, and in the other team as well. So in terms of skill set and knowledge and experience, they were equal. And these people were there voluntarily. So you could just see in the first few moments when women were set out in the wildlife, no comfort, no place where you just take yourself back, no shelter. It's extremely hot, or it's extremely cold, or it's extremely wet due to the weather. You cannot just say, oh, I'm gonna stop for a moment and just do what I want. No, you need to adjust. You need to adjust to what you have, what is given to you, what the conditions are set by nature. So the first few issues that the women found themselves in was obviously orientation. The second issue that they found themselves in was actually figuring out who is going to set the tone, who is going to lead us, so we all agree and target one step at the time. And that's a big difference between men, right? We do understand that men are very competitive, but when it comes to getting stuff done, they understand that there is a hierarchy, there is a level of understanding and capability. And for them to get to the best result, you need to give one person the lead, and everyone is going to adjust to that, and they will get the work done together. So that was another issue that women couldn't do. We are more social, that is true, but we have this pettiness amongst us that would take us away from focusing on what is important, because now we want to go head on head and say, oh, why are you the one who's going to tell me what to do? So that's big issue. If you watch the full clip, you're going to see that as one of the first issues these women had to face. The other issue was just being able to adapt to the wildlife, right? You see it with young boys and young girls, right? Obviously, there are young girls who love to climb the trees and, play in the sand, but that is not the mass majority. For men, for boys, it is just different. They don't get an egg or a cringe feeling real quick when there's something around them. They don't mind jumping in the mud. They don't mind having to swim from one side to the other and their clothes are going to get wet. They don't mind sleeping in the same t-shirt for 2 days. They don't mind having to hustle and fight and fuss and actually hunt their meal, right? It's actually even fun for them. It brings this instinct that men have that is built into them, and that's where we get to the biological. We are built different. Men are more the hunters and women are more, after it's been hunted, we are the ones who are going to set the table and make it look nice and make it look presentable. All these things are vast, big differences, but people seem to ignore the reality and just want to make up their own reality. But when you do it and when you try it, you are going to see that it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Men they're not going to care having to sleep under a tree with no soft pillow, right? Nothing to cover up. They don't mind, because to them it's intrinsic. There's something about men that they enjoy the adventure, they enjoy the wildlife, and people are going to start arguing and saying, well, that's not every man. If you use your common sense, you would understand, obviously it's not every single man, but we're talking about the majority. And women who live outside of the Western society, they understand this, and that doesn't mean to them that they're not capable of doing certain things. One difference is why they're capable of doing more things that has to do with being in nature and, just acting in a different, more tougher manner, is because that is one, the life they are living. They've been raised differently. But even these women who are outside of the West, they do understand that, wait, when there's certain things that are harder, bigger, and, maybe even more dangerous for me to handle, they are smart enough to go back to the village or wherever they are and say, guys, boys, men, we need you to support us. We need your advice on this. We need your strength on this. We need your leadership on this. We need you men to take a step and get this done. And that's why in those parts of the world, the relationships, the family values, they work much more easier because people understand what they are capable of doing. People understand that there's nothing shameful about asking a man for help. There are certain things that we as women, we are better. We know certain things better, and men are not forcing themselves into our places because they know, oh, wait a minute, I don't understand anything about that. That's a woman's space. If I want to know more about it, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to seek her advice. Oh, what do you think about this? Because that is what she knows best. And we have become, in the West, we have become so hard-headed, so negative, that we are always trying to prove a point where it doesn't make sense. What are you trying to compete against? What are we trying to do actually? And we are using this negative mindset, and we're infiltrating and we're influencing the younger generation, causing confusion that nowadays young girls don't even know their position anymore, and young boys don't understand their duties anymore. It's like, if you look at the West, people don't even know what a woman is anymore. People don't even know what a woman is anymore. People are questioning, what is a man? People are talking about, if I identify as this, can we just go back to normal? Does that make sense? Can we just go back to things that are real? Can we stop pretending, wanting to create this false reality that is not helping anyone? Is just causing more and more harm? Because if these feminists really love women, and if they really wanted women to rise up, they wouldn't be telling them this nonsense. They would be telling them, look, you're in a much better, much safer, even financially better position if you team up with a man. And above from the topic of relationships, I know from my personal experience that if I'm in a bad situation, right? If I'm in a helpless situation, if I'm in a position of, I need someone who's going to support me now, whether it's in work, whether it's something that, I figured out there's no one home and I need to carry this from A to B, the men, if you approach them kindly and you ask in a respectful manner, which this is something which should be doing as a people in general, be respectful to one another, they will always be willing to help you. And if they don't know how to do it, they would at least admit and say, look, I cannot do this, but XYZ could figure it out for you, right? There's nothing, it's not taking anything away from me being a woman. It's not making me less than, it's not making me look dumb. I don't feel less smart just because I am comfortable enough to say, oh, there's certain things I cannot do, but I know a man is stronger, a man has experienced that before, and he knows how to do it. Let me ask him to do it. It's actually giving me much more freedom to do things that I like to do, to focus on things that I know how to do, to not put myself in a position where I'm going to get back pain because I'm trying to struggle so hard. It's not going to put me in a position that I need to do 3 jobs because I'm trying to prove a point. Like, can we just go back to sense? That's why I'm saying all these feminist-minded women, and I'm sure they know it, deep down they know it, but they've been deep in it. They've been so deep in it that it's hard for them to admit. So they keep pushing this narrative. And the more and more women are celebrating their negative ideas, at some point, it's going to start seeming right. Even though you know intrinsically it is not right. Just look at their lives and ask yourself, is this really fulfillment? Is this really what we want to see as strong and independent? Is this really it? It doesn't make sense. What is so hard or what is so wrong about admitting that women need men in general? Women need men in general. That is the message for today. I hope you guys enjoy. Have a good one. Bye.